when you wander the quiet streets of this tough old agriculture town. The sun-dappled sidewalks, the busy playground, the hum of a distant lawnmower. You can feel a sense of community unique to small towns. Imagine in a place where everyone knows everyone else. The devastation of losing one of its sons to war. Imagine then the horror of a tight-knit community sacrificing not one, not 5, but 11 of its young men in less than 4.5 years. As much as time can heal those wounds of loss, it can also steal away our diligence and cause us to forget. With that in mind, let us take a moment to remember those who gave all.
After spending his early years in southern Minnesota, Leo Mack moved to Alton in his teens. There he was an honor roll student, an Eagle Scout, and he excelled in various sports such as baseball, swimming, and boxing, before enlisting in the U.S. Army Air Corps. On the 18th of December 1941, the Japanese launched a surprise aerial attack on Clark Field in the Philippines. A Japanese bomb struck the supply room where Private Mack was working. He posthumously became the face of the United War Fund's efforts to sell war bonds. Born in nearby Orange City, James Neuendorf proved himself a supremely gifted individual, scoring in the top 1% nationally in math, and excelling in several sports including baseball, basketball, and golf. He found time to sing in the Presbyterian choir while earning his master's in astronautics from Purdue University, joining the Air Force Academy, marrying his wife, Margaret Cooper, and having 2 children with her. On the 1st of October 1971, 6 weeks after deployment to Vietnam, James was piloting a McDonnell Douglas RF-4C on a photographic reconnaissance mission. About 5 miles northeast of An Lac, he took enemy fire. His navigator, Captain J.J. Siegler, safely ejected and was later rescued by an Army patrol. The body of James Neuendorf was later recovered. James Bowers spent nearly all of his young life in Alton, becoming a good student who competed in spelling bees, as well as an excellent football and basketball player for St. Mary's Academy. He joined the Naval Academy at 17, rapidly becoming an officer in the Brigade of Midshipmen, before transferring to the Air Force to pursue his true passion, flying. On the 19th of April, 1951, James was part of a squadron of T-28 Trojan planes, making a cross-country flight. When an unknown mechanical failure forced him to eject, the parachute didn't fully deploy, sending him hurtling to the earth near Lubbock, Texas. An ambulance rushed to the scene, but James Bowers passed away en route to the hospital. Vincent Schnee was born in Alton and enlisted in December 1942. He became a military police officer, stationed at Fort Omaha, Nebraska. He became seriously ill with an unspecified disease, and after a long battle, Vincent Schnee passed on in the Denver Military Hospital, his mother, Mary, at his side. George Dehner's childhood was an idyllic one, filled with friends, swimming, drawing cartoons, and fishing with his cousin Mark. As a teenager, he was widely regarded as the fastest member of Spalding Catholic's track and field team, finding great success in the 100-yard dash, the 440 relay, and the high jump, amongst other events. His performance in the one-act play, The Scabs, earned him the award of Best Actor at the CYO Theater Arts Festival in Remsen, Iowa. As a member of the Marines, George was always quick with a joke and filled with fun gags, such as skinny dipping in a rainwater-filled bomb crater. On the 25th of April, 1968, George Dehner was killed by an explosive device. Willard Vandermotten grew up on the family farm, learning the value of hard work, a trait he carried over to his job at the local gas station. But the call to arms tugged at his heartstrings, and the moment he turned 18, or possibly a little before that, he enlisted. Initially rejected by the Marines, he found a home with the Army Air Corps, where he underwent extensive training to earn his aerial gunnery wings. He was deployed to China, where he was the top gunner and assistant radio man on a B-24 bomber. On May 11, 1945, he sent home a box of gifts and souvenirs. The next day, Willard took off on a single-plane sortie and was never seen again. His family waited 9 agonizing months before the War Department confirmed Willard Vandermotten's passing. Nicholas Harens began his life with the odds stacked against him. He was born a sickly child in rural Alton, a mere 4 months after his father was taken by the influenza epidemic. Despite this, he grew to be a strong and ambitious young man, at first laboring on farms before starting his own trucking business. He answered the call to service in October 1941. In June of 1943, 13 weeks after arriving in North Africa, Nick contracted an unspecified disease and died in the Army hospital in Iran. Born on a farm south of Alton, Walter Rudin eventually graduated from Catholic school, where he was known to be a bright student, and got a job as an auctioneer's assistant alongside his older brother, Harold. After enlisting in the Naval Air Corps in August of 1942, he spent 2 years in training, eventually landing himself at the Naval Air Station in Sanford, Florida. In the final stages of learning to fly the Grumman Wildcat fighter plane, he wrote home to his family on April 23rd, noting a pall of nervousness around the base after a fatal accident that day. It would be his final letter. 2 days later, Walter Rudin died in an accidental crash of his own. Born in Hawarden, Iowa, Ted Hemingson grew up helping his father operate a road maintainer until moving to Alton around the age of 13. During his high school years, he showed a strong affinity for carpentry, and in the summer following his junior year, he helped build the Alton bandshell. A year later, he helped construct the Army Air Base in nearby Sioux City, and soon after that, he worked on the air base in Cheyenne, Wyoming. He was inducted into the Army on the 10th of March, 1943, spending 10 months at Camp Polk, Louisiana, before shipping off to England. From there, he fought in France, the Netherlands, and Germany as a tank commander in the 9th Army's 8th Armored Division. On April 10th, as the North Army advanced through heavy resistance towards the Elbe River, Theodore was killed in action, leaving behind his wife, Hermina, and a young daughter, Vicky. Born on a farm in rural Newkirk, Arnold Vanderwilt attended school there until his sophomore year, when his family moved to Alton. There he graduated Alton High School, class of '39, and then worked for his father's trucking business until 1941, when he moved to Burbank, California to work for Lockheed Aircraft. He joined the Air Corps in March of 1944 and had earned his wings as an aerial gunner by September of that year. He was assigned to Davis-Monthan Field in Tucson, Arizona. At 7 a.m., November 30th, Arnold was a turret gunner aboard a B-24 bomber when it collided mid-air with another B-24, killing all 19 members of both planes. He left behind a wife, Lois, and a 10-month-old son, Darlo. Raymond Freeman was well known in the Alton community for its outgoing and joyful nature. From his humble beginnings on the farm, to his high school years at St. Mary's, to his time as a farm implement dealer alongside his brother, eventually owning the successful business by himself. When Uncle Sam came calling in August of 1943, Ray took that cheerful nature with him to England as a member of the 96 Bomb Group, 8th Air Force. He was the nose gunner on the legendary B-17 and had completed at least 2 high-altitude missions by the 2nd of January 1945. On that morning, Ray's B-17 bomber mysteriously exploded over a farmer's field soon after takeoff, killing all 9 members of its crew. Ray left behind a wife of over 4 years, Ethel. Born into a large family on an Alton area farm, Milo Zenk was no stranger to hard work, tough living, and a high moral standard. He attended St. Mary's School and was well loved by the community. In January of 1945, 1 year after graduating from basic training, he arrived at the Philippines island of Luzon to uproot the Japanese forces dug in there. On February 1st, he wrote a letter to his family, which turned out to be his last. 1 week later, at the outset of the Battle of Luzon, Milo Zenk met his end. Wayne Nebben was a lifelong military man, getting his first start piloting B-29 Superfortresses out of India in World War II. He flew 31 combat missions, earning the Air Medal and the Distinguished Flying Cross. He joined the Iowa Air National Guard in 1951, becoming commander of the 132nd Fighter Group, and stayed with the Guard for 19 years. Somehow, in between all of his military accomplishments, Wayne found time to be highly successful in civilian life as well. Graduate from Drake University, Boy Scout troop leader, selling insurance, buying the local cinema in Alton, and even inventing a cry room, a soundproof room where mothers could take fussy children and still watch the movie. On July 24, 1970, the F-84 jet fighter being piloted by Wayne Nebben crashed near Winterset, Iowa. Richard Trinan was born on a farm near Remsen. He was bright and motivated, graduating from Remsen St. Mary's with high honors before enlisting in the Army Air Corps. He was quickly called into active duty, and after nearly 16 months of training, received his wings. He was stationed at Oregon's Redmond Air Base, where he was killed in an accidental plane crash. Known as Uncle Johnny to his niece, Sharon, John Skoblick was a career military man. He served in the Korean War and as part of the blockade during the Cuban Missile Crisis. In August of 1960, John wed Edith May Gerst, herself a Marine, who lived in Alton as he served overseas. On the 18th of July, 1963, John was involved in a helicopter crash at the Atsugi Naval Air Station in Japan. He, along with 2 other service members, was killed, leaving behind his wife and a daughter. After graduating Alton High School, Rodney Van Nimwegen attended Northwestern College and Iowa State University before joining the Air Corps as an aviation cadet in April 1942. After months of grueling flight training, he earned his wings and was assigned to the 7th Ferry Command at Gore Field in Great Falls, Montana, whose job it was to fly supplies, bombers, and other aircraft to Fairbanks, Alaska, where Russian pilots would take them to the Eastern Front. On July 23, 1943, during or soon after takeoff, the 2-engine bomber being flown by Rodney Van Nimwegen crashed, killing him and his co-pilot. Odilo Hansen was born on a farm 2 miles east of Alton, a middle child in a colossal family parented by Luxembourg immigrants. He worked the farm until he was inducted into the Army and sent to Camp Pike, Arkansas, where he contracted influenza and died in hospital. Odilo appears on the monument, but not next to his brothers who gave the supreme sacrifice. But to him and all others who gave everything to protect our freedoms at home, I offer a simple yet heartfelt phrase. Thank you.